Okay, I will sit in the chair when these fellas get done hitting. But to scan where I am, I'm about 10 feet from my property line. On my property, I'm 10 feet from my property line on my property. And the fellas are just walking off the green. Now, I'm going to make a video here with me talking, trying to explain what I'm going through here on a day-to-day basis with these tee boxes. I feel that the golf course has a responsibility to all the residents here to have social distancing with tee boxes. Right now I'm about 55 yards from that gentleman, just offline. If he has any kind of a mishit to the right, the ball will be in my yard. There hardly a day goes by. There's hardly a day ever goes by here that a ball doesn't come in my yard from one of those tee boxes. You've got 4 tee boxes. You've got the ladies, the silver, the gold, and the black back there at 177 yards. And every one of them, I'm in range. I'm down range and in range of every tee box. So that means that every tee ball that is teed up, there's a possibility that I could get hit, or my property get hit, or somebody on my property get hit. Okay? You're looking at the corner of my property. You see that big white thing? That's the flagpole. The other white thing is the boundary. That's out of bounds. My property has to be out of bounds for the golf course. You've heard of condensation, condensed milk? This is condensed golf. They put a number 12 slob shoe. I'm going to sit down now. I just want to let everybody at the HOA, Buckeye, all the realtors, if this should make it into court, this video, I hope it does. It will make it on YouTube, and it'll be public to see on YouTube. I have been living Walking Point for this golf course ever since it opened. Whenever anybody buys a round of golf at Buckeye, it's because it was the cheapest round of golf in the valley. All they had to do is drive a half an hour, 20 minutes. They could come out here, and the beautiful thing about playing Sundance is there are no marshals. We're talking practice rounds. We're not out here for score. We're out here to hit 5 or 6 balls off every tee. We go up to every tee and we hit 5 or 6 balls if it's slow. And it's always slow out there. And another thing, there's no marshals. So we can pick any set of tees we want. Even though we're high handicappers and never honestly broke 110 in our life, which I would say most of the golfers out here are. When I see these young gorillas back there on the tee trying to hit a 175-yard shot, and they have to hit 4 shots before they finally get one that lands on the fairway, and it lands in the bailout area. This happened the other day. This is why it's fresh in my mind. I'm going to let you know what happened the other day. Okay? It was Saturday or Sunday morning, and on Saturday and Sunday morning, the silver tees don't get used much. The silver tees get a lot of use during the week. I always have to look over my shoulder because at any time a ball can come in my yard. Right now I'm taking a chance. If somebody was on the tee right now, there'd be a mathematical probability. They go, oh yeah, that's 2 million to 1. It's still a probability. There's still a mathematical algorithm out there, dependent on who's holding the club, who's playing the tee shot. Every ball that's teed off that tee box is an individual teed ball. All right, it's a different day, different conditions, and the guy that's hitting it, I have to get back here and watch because I don't dare turn my back on these golfers. When I'm done with my little spiel, I'm going to take this into the kitchen, and I'm going to record what I see out my kitchen window every day. This is abuse. This is reckless endangerment. Why is it reckless endangerment? Because the pros here, the management here, are not making sure that qualified golfers. You think this is the PGA. This isn't the PGA. These guys are amateurs. A lot of them are out of shape. They can hardly bend over to tee the ball. They have no swing at all. They're all stepping out. They've all got wide open swings. Their grip is faulty. Everything about it. And here I am 55 yards away. Just off line. Just off line. I've seen so many balls go into my yard and hit houses up here. And it's every day. The thing of it is, right now we don't have a lot of frequency. Right now we don't have a lot of frequency. You're not doing half the business you were doing 12, 13 years ago. When I first bought here and all the baby boomers were all working, we were all making big money. We thought we were Tiger Woods, okay? We thought we had this game mastered. We could afford to pay $70, $80, $120 for a round of golf in some places. All right? That was a 20-yard shot into the lake. Tee up another one. See what I mean? They bought 1 round of golf, but I'm exposed to 2 rounds of risk from that ball. I'm trying to let you know. Every tee, that ball right now, if she has a miss of any kind, it's going here. She's a right-handers. Right-handers miss right. Right toward the pin, about 15 yards short. She landed in that grass bunker between the pin and the lake. Now we'll sit down again. Getting back to, if you're really pros around here, you pride yourself on calling yourself pros. I've watched golf disintegrate since I've been here. It's gotten so cheap and trashy. Let me tell you an experience I had. When I first got here, I bought 3 houses. And on the day that I closed the second 2 houses, I was puffed up, strutting around. My chest was so puffed up, I thought I was Donald Trump. Okay? Bought 3 houses on 3 of the best lots on the course, walked in and just bought them with cash and good credit. That day, after closing and doing the final walkthrough inspection, the realtor from the Meritage, we were standing across the street, and I was looking. I couldn't believe it. I built 3 houses on 3 of the best lots on this course. Dream come true. And the first thing out of that realtor's mouth was, "This will be the last time this happens." And I kind of quizzically asked, "What are you talking about? What do you mean the last time this will happen?" He goes, "You coming in here as an outsider, a single person coming in here and tying up more or less 3 of the best lots on the course." A lot of people didn't like it. And when you think about it, so that gets the mind thinking. Why wouldn't people like it? Why wouldn't people like it? What happened? And I started thinking about the builder. When I was dealing for these houses, I was a single man who was living in a room in a house called Collective Living in San Francisco, but I was 2 miles from SFO where I worked for United Airlines, okay? So I put up with living in a room and sharing a bathroom with a slob, and sharing a kitchen with people that you couldn't leave fruit or anything in the kitchen, it'd be gone. So you had to have a little freezer in your room, and everything was in your room. You kept your door locked, and people were going in and out all the time. So I didn't have big ambitions for a house. I figured any house with this view of this lake, it's okay with me. So I ordered a bigger house. I ordered I think it was the Silver Spur or something like that. It was like a 1,200 square foot house, and the kitchen was open to the living room. But it only had half a patio, and the way the driveways were set up before I could see the houses, and they flipped the house. Wherever the driveway was on the lot, they'd flip the house 180 degrees to fit the driveway. Well, when I picked the bigger house, the 1,300 square foot one, with a pantry, a big walk-in pantry, and then a bar between the living room and the kitchen. Everybody knows the ones I'm talking about, and I have no use for cathedral ceilings. To me, they're a waste. You can't get up there. If you have anything go wrong with any of your utilities, they're up in that cathedral ceiling, or you can't get up there and see things. And it's more to heat and more to cool. So didn't want that. And I was very fortunate to have some friends I went to college with back in New York who have been here for 20 years before me. And had been through this process a few times, and they kept my feet on the ground as far as spending money. And I made it known to the realtor that on the first day that I wanted to tie up 10 lots. With a give me 90 days to sell 10 of these lots, all right? And the guy looked at me like I had 2 heads. Even the guy that gave me a ride to the sales office had to leave. When I got in the car, he said, who do you think you are? I said, well, I can sell 10 lots. I got people in United that are buying lots in Vegas, rentals in Vegas. I know golfers that I golf with at United that would jump on this. 30 miles from the airport? Come on. So, so I bought in. And now, I didn't realize what type of a golf operation was going to be run here. And I didn't understand how much contempt there was for me here in this local town. It was a town, it's now a city now, but it was a town. This is a town where everybody that knows everybody. They probably had a graduating class of about, if they were lucky, 40 or 50 people out here 50 years ago. I doubt if they had a class of 35 or 40 people 50 years ago out here. everybody knew everybody. And I'm from a small town like that, and we don't like outsiders. You see protests in upstate New York right now where they're telling all the people that are in New York with coronavirus, we don't want you up here. Stay home. That's townie. That's townies. Well, townie attitude comes in all forms. And the form it came with me was that I came out of nowhere. I found out later through talking to neighbors and friends that people who were close to the sales office, close to Meritage, people who were known good guys, favored people to the town people, who had influence in the town, had their eyes on these lots. But these lots were premium priced at $25,000 each before you even put a house on them, just for the lot. Everything up to that point was $15,000. So anybody that had bought early, say a year or a year and a half, and there was a few people here, I would say less than 30 or 50 people that bought before I did. Phase 1 was almost sold out, so whatever phase 1, which was along the 8th hole. The 8th hole was pretty much filled in between the 8th and the 5th fairway, the dogleg 5th. That was pretty much sold out first. They had signs out here on the highway that you could buy a house on a golf course here for $99,000. Now I am leaving San Francisco. San Francisco, do you know how far you'd have to drive and how much you would have to pay to have what we have here? Okay? Now, it's a beautiful setting. It's an HOA, it's an adult, active adult. But the golf course, and we've had a few disputes. It's no secret, and I'll put on, I taped a conversation with Andy about what I live with day in and day out. I live with, you're going to see on the camera when I bring it to the kitchen, day in and day out, if it's a busy day, just balls in my yard all day long. And the people, when they buy their greens fee, anybody who's been playing here since it opens, is their tribal knowledge, the culture, the philosophy, the doctrine, the protocol, whatever you want to call it, the character of how we play buckeye is, first of all, there are no marshals. They don't have marshals. Buckeye is wide open. It's like sandlot golf. You're not going to have marshals chasing you around if you're breaking windows all day. And on the scorecard, it doesn't say anything where golfers are responsible for damage to property. All right? The thing is, they're getting this overused term, and they've really cheapened this term. They cheapened it and dragged it through the sewer. You bought a house on a golf course. You bought a house on a golf course. That covers a multitude of sins. That means I can be... I have a military background. I was in from 68 to 72. I'm familiar with a lot of terminology. I went through infantry training and infantry requalification and infantry rifle requalification and physical requalifications for 4 years, every 3 months. The rifle once a year, to be ready to fight infantry tactics. And one of the things in the language was of military is Now I have to get up and watch these guys to make sure that I don't get hit in the head. Because like I said, every one of these tee balls that are going to be teed up here, I'm in play. Why am I in play? Because I'm in range and I'm downrange. All they have to do is have a lapse of focus. Any kind of lapse of focus to where they're not holding the club, they're holding it maybe a little weak grip. Maybe they're going a little outside and inside. Maybe they have trouble seeing the ball that day. They're not hitting the sweet spot. They haven't hit it all day long. I want you to notice that this is a fivesome. I have a story to talk about fivesomes. An experience I had here at Sundance and Buckeye 16 years ago. Okay. The little fivesome story. When I first bought these houses, I wasn't even living here yet. I hadn't even moved here. I was living in San Francisco and owning 3 houses on a golf course. What upset everybody is the wonder. What's he doing here? Why would a single guy come out here with no family and no wife and tie up 3 lots? They basically, I was accused of being a carpetbagger. That's the way I feel. It's the impression I get, that everybody felt that I bought too much toilet paper. Okay? Why'd you buy 3 lots? Why did you have to tie up 3 lots? And you didn't put on the biggest houses. You didn't spend any money on those houses. Yeah, that's right. Because the agent that I dealt with, I told him, I said, these lots, location, location, location. I'm a half a mile from the I-10 going to LA and Phoenix. And I have a lake here all to myself. And if I buy the cheapest houses I can buy and go cheap on all the amenities, take all the builder's special, and worry about the problems later, I can buy 3 lots for around $155,000 each. When I bought the first one, I tied it up, and a month and a half later, I get a call and they said, you have to come down and pick out. We've got it all framed up. I only bought 1 house, but there's a story to this house, and I'm going to put that on YouTube. We'll call them gravity pirates. The gravity pirates, okay? Got me. But you think about that. Gravity pirates. But anyway, what's going on behind me right now is only the tip of the iceberg. That if golf ever rebounds to where it was in 2004 and 5, when on a Sunday morning you couldn't get a cart, they ran out of carts, and every cart had 2 people in them, and they didn't have enough carts. And if they had a tournament or anything like that, people had money. People had money. They could afford to go and play, and it was the cheapest place to play. So, because it was the cheapest place to play, part of the overhead to any kind of a course is maintenance, water, and security, and marshaling. Well, since this is a sandlot golf out here, free roaming, this is the Vikings. Every time a golfer walks up to my property line looking in my property for his ball, he saw it go into my property, he knows it's on my property, he walks up the hill, he's not even looking on the course. He's looking in my property with the intent of crossing this line. He doesn't even see these green bushes. I planted these bushes 3 years ago. I could have them 10 feet high. There'd be a guy there. I swear there'd be a golfer that would bust through there to get his ball if he saw it. I deal with this day in and day out. Now, the military terms I wanted to get back to and talk to. There's a military term that if you're short on resources, and it's a very effective tactic and strategy to use on the enemy. It's a sort of a psychological strategy. It's called erudition and harassment fire. Say the guys are sitting down to eat, they're having a get-together or a church service on Sunday morning, they send a couple of rockets in. Or at any random time they feel like sending a rocket into your compound, they do. They're not trying to overrun you, not in mass. They're going to still let you have that position. You can maintain the position because they can't take it away from you. You have rights, property rights to it or whatever. Or I think I have rights, but what it is when you put that stake on my property line, and you told me on the phone, we're using all of our property for play area for the golf course. Now, you don't maintain this rubble area up here. If a golfer hits one up here and he comes up, he usually picks it up off the rocks and takes it down. Only the morons with a brand new set of clubs try to hit it off the rocks. Okay, this ain't the U.S. Open. So every ball that's hit up there, usually the moron that hit it picks it up and takes it down to the green area. So as far as having it for a play area, they're not playing up here. It's a bailout area for mediocre, novice, amateur, beginner, never taken a lesson, first time, whatever you want, hard-headed golfer. The type of golfer that in high school they excelled at every sport. Basketball, they could shoot baskets. Baseball, they were the best pitcher and hitter. Football, they were the quarterback. And when they weren't the quarterback, they were the best halfback and defensive back they had. The guy was super athletic. He did everything. There wasn't anything that he couldn't master. And he's challenged when he goes out with his buddies, and his buddies bring him out just for entertainment. Let's go watch this guy set off missiles all day. Let's go see how this gorilla does with a golf course. On a golf course with a golf club in his hand that he's never handled. Never handled. And We're going to let them loose on Sundance because Sundance is the cheapest place. There's no marshals. It's free reign, free roaming. If we hit a ball on somebody's patio, the golf course in the summer figures they're snowbirds, they're not home. Go and get your golf ball. You're not restricted, okay? You can go wherever you want. This is free roaming, okay? It's like the Vikings coming down in that commercial for the credit card. What's in your wallet? And lots of times when it's really slow, a golfer who has played here a lot and had success walking down this property line, I've said it before in other videos, but I'm going to say it again. This is a baseball stadium where there are no foul ball outs because the fielder can't make a play on a foul ball. There's no foul ball territory between the first base line and the seats, or the third base line and the seats, okay? And that gives the hitter free reign to hit, swing at anything. If he thinks he can get wood on anything and if he pops it up, when it lands out of bounds. All right? It lands in the stands. The player who's playing in the field, he has to stop at first baseline. This is what you're doing to me, right? You're trying to put a long championship, it's one-upmanship. It's one-upmanship. It looks good on the scorecard when you can add an extra 750 or 600 yards to a course over 18 holes, okay? You got 18 holes to maybe add another 300 or 400 yards to the course, and that's what you did over here. The longest shot when I bought here was 160 yards across the lake. But once they got all these houses sold and filled in, and nobody was getting, once it was saturated and the houses were all sold and people couldn't back out. Now what they could do, about 2 years after I was here, a year and a half or 2 years, it was right after they gave they gave the golf course away. They gave the golf course away to a private investor after they lost money the year before. They lost money the year before, the first time that this new management team came in. And I was playing golf a lot. On my days off, I was playing my days off. I was single. I loved it. I had this course. I owned the course. I can actually say at one time, I owned this golf course. Me and my friends. There was a few people in the clubhouse that I knew, bartenders, and other people we played with. Now, I'd like to remind you, I'm 55 yards from that gentleman. He's trying to hit it 137. Any kind of a miss of the sweet spot, I see it happen every time. You can't believe you'll set that tee box up and within an hour of play on a Saturday, a house gets hit up here. Why? Because these guys got their out to in swings. They got the club face wide open. They're trying to lift the ball. They're holding the club face open, trying to, instead of covering the ball, closing the face, hitting down on the ball, they're trying to lift it up. You see it in every swing. There's another one. He isn't hitting down on the ball, he's trying to lift it up. And that kind of swing with the wrong grip and the wrong club position.
How you doing, big guy?
How about getting me out of range? You're a big guy here, right?
Did I hit a good shot?
No,
Did you see my swing?
Larry, I'm getting sick of being the landing area for golf balls.
Behave yourself.
Yeah. This is assault, buddy. Day in and day out. Well, I hope you heard that little exchange. That was Larry. Larry's from Seattle, okay? I used to live in Seattle. I loved it, but I couldn't make no money there. And that Seattle was another place that had towny ties. I mean, if you were born and raised there, you didn't have a thing to worry about. But being from the outside, and it wasn't a union town. All right, Seattle, no such thing. But Larry's from Seattle. He's been here probably as long as I have. He lives over on, I think, the 17th or 18th hole. He works at the clubhouse, picking up cigarette butts. He's always doing something. He never stops moving. I think he's the chairman of the board. My impression, I feel, maybe I'm wrong, it's only my opinion, but he's a mover and a shaker with the golf course, okay? And I was just trying to tell him, how about taking me out of range? You know, the spiel I was just trying to explain to you, incoming harassment, this is interdiction and harassment fire being visited on me by golf professionals. These are supposed to be golf professionals. These are supposed to be people who teach golf. You're supposed to teach golf. First of all, don't even get me started on pace of play. The other day, to get back to that story the other day, a young group, the typical kid, the all-American athlete, here he is, he's with a group of golfers, and he's wiry, he's strong, he just looks like he's all athletic. He's like a coiled spring, probably about 24, 25, a hothead like I was, testosterone going out his ears. Well, he gets back on the back tee, and I don't know where he's never played golf, I don't think. He just took a club back there with the rest of them, and he took a big old swing, and it did just a duck right into the pond. Well, grabbed another ball, took another ball out of his pocket, wild ass swing, and it landed up here across the cart path. He didn't like it, so he ran back to his cart, got two more balls, went back, took another wild ass swing, put it in the lake. So that's 3 swings, and I swear the guy's never he's never swung a golf club. It's a baseball swing. It's counterintuitive. When you don't know how to hit a golf ball with a golf club and you've never hit it, everything you're trying to do is counterintuitive to what you have to do to hit the ball correctly. So that's why he was struggling, but he was bound and determined. He was going to hit that ball over that lake from the longest tees on the course. I see it all day long. Guys punching over their weight. Well, what happens when guys punch over their weight? I have to deal with sloppy seconds, sloppy thirds, sloppy fourths, and you probably think, well, that's kind of a crude term. Well, what I mean about sloppy seconds, sloppy thirds, and sloppy fourths, I got videos. I got videos of me, or I got videos of golfers. First of all, they don't take much care in setting up the first shot. And the first shot goes awry right into the lake. They didn't make the shot. So the next thing they do is they drop a ball and they take even less patience, less time, less care than they did on the first shot. And they didn't even take a practice swing on the first shot. And usually it's that second shot where they're getting close to the sweet spot, but they haven't hit it yet, that is where I get hit, or I get a ball in my yard. It's always on the second or third shot. The guy drops the ball immediately. He's punching over his weight. If you put him on the executive tees, he wouldn't be able to put it on the green. Okay? Now, to continue about the story, the kid, all right, this kid, this wiry little athlete, this, you know, I'd call him Jimmy Cagney, James Cagney, you know, a little fire plug, swinging out for everything he's worth. Now, his ball lands in the bailout area. That bailout area down there to the right and below the green. And he's trying to find all the other balls he hits, so that kind of slows up play. And so he finally gets down to his ball, and it's in the bailout area. And I want to tell you something about putting a back pin. When you put that pin all the way back on a busy day, what you're setting yourself up for on this golf course. The slow play. Now, because this guy who hit 4 balls, his whole group was like that. They were all playing over their head. They were bound and determined to play the black tees, and there was no marshal or anybody else telling them, you're stinking up the place. We've been watching you. You've been on, of all the tees, you've hit 3 houses. Your group has hit 3 houses so far. You haven't put 1 shot the first time in the fairway. You're stinking up the place. They're starting to back up behind you. And you have no etiquette on the green. Now, this kid gets up to his ball. I can remember he was playing a red ball or an orange ball, bright orange ball. So, all he has to do, the pin is in the back. Remember? The pin's in the back. All the way back on the fringe, back left, the worst place you could put it on a busy day. Well, instead of the guy taking a pitching wedge or something like that, or a 7-iron, and just trying to get the ball on the green and rolling up to the pin, this guy sculled one. He had no feel for even hitting a pitch shot. He went up there and swung at that ball the same way he swung at it on the tee. I don't think he's ever hit a pitch shot in his life, or it was the second or third one he hit in his whole life. He drove that ball past the pin, and now it's in back, in the back. And guess what? What happens? Every ball that goes in the back, behind the pin, when you put a back pin on the weekend, every ball, because of the thick grass in the lake, becomes a search party. Now, what happened was, because they spent so much time on the tee running back and forth to their carts to get balls and hitting so many balls, they finally get up around the green, and none of them know what green etiquette is. And they don't have any sense of pace of play. Now, just as they started playing the hole, he hit his ball back there, so all of a sudden everybody had to get back and look for his ball. And he wasn't going to drop a ball. He had to find his ball, nice orange-red ball, and he kept looking and looking, and everybody kept waiting to play because it was his turn. Okay? So, now, everybody's made their second shot. They're all waiting to putt, and they can't putt until he finds his ball and he gets it on the green. He's struggling because he's got no game. He doesn't have a short game. He can't play small ball. Well, by that time, the caravan had caught up to him. And now you've got about 4 quality golfers sitting back there that probably this group started 4 groups ahead of them. 4 holes ahead of them. Like when they were on number 5, these guys teed off. And number 5 gave them fits. or number 4 gave them fits, number 5 gave them fits, and now they're here trying to hit 100 and they got a back pin, a 200-yard shot, and they're wild as hell. They don't know anything about the game. This allows to go on, and like I said, I'm in range and downrange of every T-ball. Now, when I talk about the algorithm, it's impact, club face angle at impact, club face speed at impact. Who's holding the club? Is that club being held by somebody that's made that shot 5,000 times? Been on the range? He goes to the range, he practices that shot, or is it somebody out here for the day that's never played golf before, and he's good entertainment for his friends? He's good entertainment for his friends because of they're getting a kick. Whenever he catches one, whenever he really catches one on the square, on the screws, he explodes. This is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see how far he could hit a ball, but he can't even play the short game. But to get back, these guys are waiting on the tee, watching this performance. It's a comic opera to watch amateur people on the greens that don't know pace of play and have no sense of pace of play. They figure, I paid my greens fee, I'm gonna take my time lining this putt. Now, finally, these people, when it comes to putting out, this guy's lying about 35. He's probably lying 30 with all the shots he took into the lake, here, there. And when it comes time to putt, he's Phil Mickelson. Or he's one of these fastidious putters that he's going to line up that putt. Dude, it's for a 31. Move on. Plus, he's got quality golfers behind him. Now, these people are going to stink up the place all day long. Not only are they going to threaten members who live here day in and day out, pay taxes and dues. Why should we have to put up with this? There should be a meet and greet guy on the tee, first tee, to meet them and say, you're playing one of the tightest golf courses, and we suggest, if you don't want to break a window, that, or we'll tell you, if you're going to play grip and rip and you don't have control of your ball, this is a course that you can't, if you play grip and rip and you don't have control of your ball, there's a good chance you're going to be in somebody's yard or break a window. And we suggest, if you don't have a grip and rip game that you can control, that you move up, because you're going to stink up the place. You're going to stink up the place. You're going to be putting balls in people's yards. You're going to be hitting houses. You're going to be threatening physical harm to people, and you have no business playing those tees. I'll tell you what, I broke 90 twice in my life. I played for nearly 50 years on and off. I probably, out of 50 years, I played 30 strong years out of 50, whenever I had a chance. And the thing of it is, I was single. I had money. And I used to walk in San Francisco. I never took a cart unless it was a new course that was so prohibitively long that you didn't want it. But most courses were old courses. They were built to walk. Okay, one tee, you walk from the tee, you went right from the green, few steps to the next tee. Okay, unlike here. But I think the professionals here, you have no sense of the human factors, or if you do, you're being willfully ignorant. You're just being bullies. You're being golf bullies. We don't have to fix this. You bought a house on a golf course. You're responsible for that ball. You're running a golf concession. You're running a golf concession, all right? You have a contract with the golfers. They give you money, you give them a round to golf. Now, you're responsible for them. You're responsible for any damage they do. That's the way it should be. You're responsible because you're allowing these situations, these human factor, these ego, whatever you want, to testosterone situations where you've got young men challenging tees that there's no way they'll break 120 that day. If they count every shot, there's no way they'll even come close. I've done it. I used to do it. But getting back to why I broke 90 twice in my life. I never played league golf. I never had a handicap. When I played golf, it was to get away, to get out in nature, to have fun. And I didn't worry about handicaps. I didn't worry about recording my handicap. But I was an 18 handicap. I played for 50 years. And they go, well, how could you play for 15 years and be an 18 handicap? I was lucky to be an 18 handicap. Is because I counted every shot. I wasn't playing for to try to establish a handicap. I was counting every shot. If I dubbed a chip shot, I counted it. If I missed the short putt, I counted it. If I sculled one out of bounds on the opening hole, I didn't take a mulligan, I counted it. All right, me against the course. What good is it? How can you measure how good you are if you don't count every shot? Well, that's the honesty. And right now, the dishonesty, there's an odor here. It's an odor. You're using me as a penalty box. And I'm going to let you know, I plan on being out here. I bought front row seats to the greatest show on earth. This is a circus. This is a golf circus. And if I'm allowed to, and unless somebody throws me in jail again on a warrant that I didn't get served on, I'm going to be here. And I've got a lot of yard work. I got about a year of yard work ahead of me to get this house and get this yard in shape. But once I get it in shape, I'm going to be sitting out here on my property line. You're using the golf course right up to my property line. Therefore, I think it would be equitable for me to be able to put chairs right here next to my property line and sit out here all day. And I should have a camera because I'm endangered. Even though you know that people live in these houses, even though you know people try to party in these yards, I wouldn't dare try to throw a party in these yards. I'm getting balls in my yard every day now, and you're the slowest you've ever been, okay? Or it seems that way. It seems like you're very slow right now. If you ever get up to where you're selling 250 rounds of golf again, like you did 15 years ago, 215 rounds of golf, I'm going to have to call in the cavalry. I don't like having to challenge a golfer who's looking in my yard and about to walk across my plants, and I don't like having to tell a guy who's in my yard to get out of my yard. I shouldn't have to do that. If this was a quality golf course with a lot of class and honesty, you'd fix this. And I'll tell you the simple fix. Take all this tee box, monkey motion you got on this side of that little harbor and move it over to the other side. Take it all over to the other side. Get me out of range. Then it'll be an accident. Then if somebody hits a 90-degree shot and it lands in my yard, it'll truly be an accident. This guy right now, all he has to do is miss about 30 degrees and I'm it. A 45-degree miss and I'm it. On every shot, every shot, every shot, every tee ball that's teed up here, I'm in range and downrange. I'm less than 90 degrees. A father killed his daughter last year in Utah. His daughter used to love to go out and play golf. She'd sit in the cart. Well, he hit some kind of a shot that he couldn't imagine that he would hit. And from what I understand, either the daughter was sitting downrange and in range. I don't know how, but as soon as the ball hit the little girl, she was dead, more or less pronounced dead right there. He hit her so hard with a ball. I don't know if she was sitting in a cart, there wasn't a lot of details, but the reason that little girl isn't here anymore is imagination. The guy couldn't imagine that he'd ever hit that kind of a shot. He couldn't imagine that he'd ever hit that kind of a shot. That's what he told the police, and he got off. They go, it was an accident. 1,000 to 1. I'm living with the same thing here. I'm living with the same thing here. Every time somebody mishits a ball, and mishits in golf there are more mishits than there are good hits. The guy goes out all day long, he shoots, say he shoots a 95, he remembers 5 great shots. 5 great shots out of that 95. All right? The rest were misses. What he considers misses. And it happens every day. And to have you put in tee boxes uprange, you're interdiction harassment flare. You don't want me here. Okay? You don't want me here because I know something about golf. I'm going to close this with this story before I take the camera into the house. Does anybody remember when Sergio Garcia, about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, was milking the club, doing this? Well, maybe the management here is too young to remember that, but it was at Bethpage, Long Island. Bethpage is right outside of New York City, so their U.S. Open that year, they had on one of the, and Bethpage is a public course. Anybody can play it. Okay? Anybody can play it. You have to get there early in the morning. It's Bethpage Black, but it's one of the longest public courses, and you play the long tees in the country for a public course. All right? All right, so getting back to Sergio. Now, from Sawgrass on, Sawgrass is the Tournament of Champions. Around the Tournament of Champions, before they started migrating up the East Coast, eventually to get to New York by the longest day of the year, U.S. Open, Sergio started this affliction of whenever they put the camera on him, and I think it started at Sawgrass, but he'd start re-grip, 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 re-grip. Couldn't pull the trigger. And so Peter Costas, everybody, they're all trying to be cool, and you know, Johnny Miller and all the rest of them, and not trying to, because everybody loves Sergio. Well, they get up to Greensboro, same thing. They go up to Harbortown, same thing. They go to the Masters, same thing. Every time they put the camera on him, he spends 45 seconds or a minute re-gripping this club to pull the trigger. And it's starting to be a nuisance. He's starting to stink up the game. Go ahead, put the camera on me. If I'm running in contention, if I'm running up front and I'm in contention, when they put the camera on me, they're going to see this. All right? I like the camera. The camera likes me. Well, they went up, and all the way up the East Coast. I forget what the last tournament was. Maybe it was somewhere in New Jersey or Washington, D.C. or something leading up. That tournament, Harbortown, that's one of the tournaments they do. Well, anyway, the first morning, we're talking about an educated crowd. The New York crowd. These aren't Virginia crowds. These aren't Maryland crowds. These aren't Washington crowds. These aren't Georgia crowds. These aren't Florida crowds. These are New Yorkers. These are New Yorkers who are fans and know the game, okay? what happened on the first hole of the first round of that tournament when Sergio, when they put the camera on him, when he hit one long down the middle and he get up there for his second shot and he started milking the club. They got video of it. They got video of it. I have to get up. But what happened was, as soon as Sergio started gripping and re-gripping that club on the first hole, all the New York fans started screaming obscenities. Hit the bleaking ball, Sergio. Hit the ball, Sergio. And they were all getting on him. They were all getting on him, making a fool out of him. Guess what? He didn't do it anymore after that tournament. Because every time he started re-gripping the clubs, people, the New York fans who had seen him do this for a month and a half, all right, were in his face saying, hey, how about fixing this? Well, I'm a New York fan. What you're running right here now is a shooting gallery, all right? First of all, I'm a landing and recovery area for golfers that think that my patio is part of the golf course. I got a golf course that thinks my yard should be out of bounds, that they should be able to play, even though they don't maintain this up here. It's just a bailout area, okay? You're not maintaining it, you don't water it, you don't trim the trees up here. Both trees in front of my house haven't been touched in 2 years, okay? So you got nothing to do with maintaining it, and whenever a golfer hits one up here, you're doing this so that the golfer has entree to my yard. When they can walk all the way up to my plants, looking in my patio the whole time, they seem to rationalize, oh, what hurt would it be if I just walked in there 15 feet and grabbed those two balls? The one I hit and another one that somebody else must have hit today. All right? So, I'm going to end right now. For now, after these guys hit. But this is the morning crew, and these guys are offended. You can't believe the shit I take from these guys every morning. They don't, because they don't like the camera here. Well, these are the old pros. These are guys that spend a lot of time on the driving range. Okay, when they own their own cart, that means that they're probably working at the game or they're trying to. But the last thing you want to see come around that corner is 4 carts filled with 4 young guys that they're all Sundance carts. Because you don't know. This isn't their cart. They're here for the day. You don't know what their quality, their skill, what they know. Do they know how to swing the club? Have they ever played small ball? That's another thing. You got to teach these golfers how to play small ball. Instead of teaching them how to rip a club 200 yards, how about getting them down to the green and teaching them how to chip a 7-iron off the apron? Teach them how to do a pitch shot. Don't let them, until they can master a pitch shot and a chip shot and a putt, don't even let them go to the range. All right? That's what you should be teaching them. You want to see pace of play pick up. But I've been out here talking into the camera, and I get, they don't like it. They go, why don't you shut up? They can hear me. Well, if they can hear me talking in my yard, then that tee box is a little too close to me. This is my yard. I'm in my yard. I'm having a conversation. If I want to set up a picnic table in that corner and play a radio all day and read, I should be able to do it without having to worry about taking a golf ball upside the head. I should be able to have children over here that want to play in the yard without having to worry about them getting a melanoma upside the head from a ball going 70 miles an hour hit by an idiot who's punching over his weight. All right? I'm sorry I'm a little cynical about golf, but I can't believe you're running this show. It's a circus. I'm going to be here with my camera every day doing this. Now I'm going to take the camera into the house through the kitchen window, and you're going to see what I look out when I look out my kitchen window all day long, and how exposed I am. How exposed I am. I'm so exposed right now. If that guy misses at all, anything he does wrong, anything. And another thing about being here, not only am I in range, I'm in earshot. If I have children, or if I had somebody, a guest out here sitting here reading on the corner, which they have every right to do, I have every right to sit out here onto my property line and read. Now, not only am I in range for a golf ball, but I'm in earshot. So any obscenity that comes out of these guys, any expletives that come out of them, my children and my guests, we have to listen to. How about taking this to the other side of the harbor? How about showing some class, huh? Why don't you show somebody that you know something about golf?